Welcome to How We Grow, an essential playbook to grow and scale your vacation rental business with advice and insights from the best in the biz, with your host, Lynell Gordon. Welcome to the Vacation Rental Show, How We Grow. I am delighted to bring a real business guy. He's a property manager, been a property manager for many years. He can tell you about that. He's currently the CEO of Bluewater Associates of Emerald Isle, which is one of my favorite vacation rental companies. And it's a shout out to Woody, our friend there, who is just really brilliant and marvelous and very kind and loyal. I can't think of a better company for you to work for. Stuart Pack. Gosh, I'm so excited that you're here. Thank you for being here with me.
Well, it's my pleasure to be here. I'm very excited to talk about an industry that I not only care about, but I love and I take so much passion. And one of the things I always say, Lynell, is all guests checked in and all guests tucked in, literally meaning we're making vacation memories for our guests. And that's what it comes down to. Do the right thing. Give them a great vacation, whether it's a 2-bedroom condo, a 10-bedroom oceanfront house. Take care of the guest experience.
So Stuart, before this, you were the VP at Atlantic Realty. Before that, you were the CEO at Carolina Retreats. And before that, you were the CEO at Resort Realty. And before that, I mean, we go back to when you were working for Stuart Couch. Oh my gosh, that's like
2003 is when I joined this industry. I was a career switcher and I came on board. Stuart Couch was an incredible mentor. A lot of folks on the Outer Banks have been great to work with. I can share some stories with you about the camaraderie, the teamwork. It's been a tremendous experience. And we lost Stuart Couch early due to his passing, but he had a great company and it was very competitive on Hatteras Island. And we created a lot of magic there for sure.
Absolutely. We wanted to talk today about best practices for success. And you have managed a lot of property management companies over the years. And the fact of the matter is, you are one of the rare people that I know of who are really tremendous operators. In other words, you're a business person. You could walk into any business and you could sit down and you could run that business. It wouldn't have to be property management. You just happen to specialize in that. But you are so good at running businesses. Talk to me a little bit about what you'd like to share with people about how to have success with property management.
Well, I don't know if everything is completely true that you said. I don't believe that I'm that good as you have claimed.
No, you are.
But it has been a tremendous fun ride. It's been a blessing. We've had our ups and downs. We've been through numerous obstacles and issues, as you can imagine. But yeah, one of the things I've learned from day one is working initially on the Outer Banks, and that's primarily where I had been for most of my career. And I love the camaraderie. I love the opportunity to meet with people in similar positions, people, owners, directors, because people have been very good to share. And way back in the day, I attended my first VRMA conference in probably 2004. And Stuart Couch sent me down. It was, during a storm. And he said, I still want you to go. And it's amazing what you see and learn. And it's changed over time. And I have not been attending recently. But yeah, a couple of things I want to share, just my tips, because I appreciate your kind words. I am more of an operator. I may have the title CEO, but I love the inner workings of our industry, of our business. And some of the things that I've learned from working with folks, et cetera, I have a list of maybe 8 or 10 best practices to make us more successful. The first one is literally to listen to your guests. You have to stay in tune to what your guests are saying. That's during the booking process. That's through your pre-arrival emails. That's during their stay. That's guest reviews. It's staying very attentive to your guest. And I know you've had different speakers on your program, and some of them say, are we guest-centric or owner-centric? Well, we've got to be both. And without the guest, we don't have anything. And you have to make that guest experience phenomenal. The second thing that I would say is we have to respond to reviews, guest reviews, Google reviews. You have to be attentive. You learn from those. The third thing that we have practiced and preached is communicate with your homeowners. Your homeowners want to hear from you. They want to know what's going on. Most companies do a monthly newsletter where you promote, you advise, you make recommendations. A lot of companies will leave a welcome note for an owner arrival. A lot of times you will call the owner when they're in or before they come in. Owners want to hear from the rental management company. The other thing that I love to promote is to collaborate between our managers. Since I have been here at Bluewater nearing 6 months, we have made some internal changes. We have promoted 3 into director roles, a director of business development, a director of property services, a director of reservation sales, and a director of property management. I did hire one person from the outside, but I try my best to promote from within. But you want to collaborate. You want to build a team that communicates, that is very free to express their opinions and to share the issues, the concerns, and the pressing needs that they see. The next thing that I believe that we should do is empower our team members. It's all about what happens in the field. As a property manager, as a team leader, as an executive, you only hear the problems. You only deal with the problem situations. And it's the cleaners, the cleaning crew, it's the inspector, it's the maintenance tech. It could be the linen provider, linen delivery firm that touches our guest. And it's so important. They're very polite. They are dressed professional. They know what to say. They know to get in and get out. But it's so important to use their manners and be considerate of the pressing needs that a guest has. The next thing I would say is we need to promote, agree upon the company goals. I mean, so often, you look at your team leaders, you're sitting in a manager's meeting. Do they even know what the company goals are? Do they know what the objectives are? And I think it needs to be updated every year. Every year we need to communicate what we're going to improve and what we want to see happen. And again, I think so often we never communicate that.
Let me ask you this. What kind of goals are you talking about here? When you came in and you had your meeting with your people, what kind of goals did you set?
For example, you want to look at your cleaning scores. You want to have X% of 5-star cleaning reviews. Very important. You want to look at selling early check-ins. How many early check-ins can you sell per week? What is the promotion process? I know it's much more specific on the eastern part of the United States, selling trip insurance. I mean, trip insurance is one of the best profitable products that we offer.
And it's a great product for the guest.
Oh, it's 100, and it's not just storm insurance. It's not a hurricane. It is transportation in case somebody has to be medevaced, in case there is an accident on the way. It's a phenomenal product, and most of your guests are very familiar with it. Even the check-in times, getting the guest in and communicating with the guest is very important. So those were some of the initial goals and objectives that we started with.
I love the fact that you went productivity, you went revenue increase. You're putting all your goals together that are for your team. I love that you've got multi-spectral there.
One of the other things I think for a best practice is to look at your annual evaluation of your employees. I think new hires need to have a 90-day evaluation, and not specifically here, but a lot of companies do not even have a detailed job description. They are not doing annual reviews. And one of the things that I mandate in them is sharing goals specifically for your team leader, your manager. You talk about what those goals are and you have a target to shoot for. And I just see that as something that's always a problem. One of the things I think a management team should do is one of the first emails that I'm looking for every morning, believe it or not, is the on-call report. I want to see that email report showing us everything that went wrong from the night before. We have different people on call, reservation sales side, we have a maintenance, a tech side. But Lynell, I want to see what those issues are because you want to determine that you properly responded. You use it as a learning tool. What went wrong and how do we prevent it in the future?
I have a story for you with that real quick. I interviewed someone about 3 weeks ago, and she said to me, "We are no longer doing on-call. We're not doing on-call. Unless it's an emergency, no one is taking that call." And I thought, that's great for where you are. And they were West Coast. East Coast, I don't know if it's Southern hospitality, but we would never even consider not having that on call. But I love the fact that she thought out of the box and she's like, it doesn't work for our company. Well, good. I know you're surprised though. I wanted to surprise you.
Yeah, for sure. It's like, I don't know how you could do that. And I wish you could. But I mean, again, things go wrong. And I mean, how about your keyless lock entry? The batteries fail. I mean, are you going to leave the person sitting outside the unit all
No,
night
that would
or?
be an emergency. But, we get calls because the toaster doesn't work or late at night, the microwave's not working. We're used to dealing with it. We don't even think about it.
Right. Well, I think a lot of the firms, including for us, I mean, you usually have a screening service I mean, with 600 properties, I mean, the phone could literally ring all night. So you try to screen your calls, but we are much more geared to respond. And I would much rather somebody go. I am not opposed to the on-call pay, the overtime. If in doubt, please respond. Just take care of it to make everyone happy. Really, towards the bottom of my list is budgets and performance measurements, all the key metrics, KPIs that you're working on. And again, to your point, my background is business and finance. I do believe that you run these companies by numbers. We run them by departments. We run FTE count for staffing. We budget for the year. We spread it over 12 months. I mean, you wouldn't believe how deep we go, but I really think, in fairness, almost or perhaps every company that I've been at has had a subpar or had no budget at all. I mean, that's one of the first things you have to implement, because where on earth do you even know that you're going to handle that?
That's so true. And I love that about you. That's something that's always impressed me. And let me tell you something else. I want you to talk more about budget, but I want to tell a story here. So, Stuart is not just great at keeping to his budget, he is an incredible negotiator. When I first met Stuart, I met him in a boardroom in Hatteras Realty. He was working as I don't know, CEO probably of that. And we had come to a place where we couldn't decide. It was pricing and it was a big deal. And I'll never forget this. This is how you impressed me so much. I finally said to Stuart, after working with him on trying to negotiate, I finally said, look, I like to shop at Walmart like everybody else. And sometimes I go in and I'll buy their generic cookies most of the time. But every once in a while, I have to have an Oreo. Stuart, we are the Oreo. Remember that conversation?
Well, and I will tell you, you have been incredible with LSI. You had incredible tools and you were worth every dollar that you charged us. So,
Oh, thank you. So tell me about budget because I know that this is one of your strong suits. So if I'm a property manager and I'm trying to create a budget or I'm trying to give advice for property managers for doing budget and KPIs.
well, and I think, and let's just peel it out for a property manager so that you may have a maintenance department, you might have your separate linen department, you may have marketing and other things that are not under your sphere of influence. But the first thing you need to look at is you've got to try to look at your revenue, your commission, your fee structure, your administrative fee, trip insurance, early check-ins, next year reservation fees. You need to get a measurement on that. What are you doing? What have you done? And then what is the potential that you have with your current inventory? Secondly, look at the expenses the way that they're allocated out. Certainly your salaries. Look at your property manager, your assistant property manager, your front desk people, and put some numbers in there. I think one of the things that we always miss is creating bonus opportunities. Very famous for, you can do things, and of course, North Carolina is a little bit more specific, but upselling early check-ins. Early check-ins are free. You do not necessarily need to reward your cleaner because you're scheduling which units they clean. You can keep that as a revenue stream, and there should be incentives for your agents to sell. But I think also you have to look at your support staff. I mean, selling an early check-in is really twofold. You have to sell it, but you have to deliver it. A lot of times way back in the day, Stuart Couch and Hatteras Realty, they paid the cleaners a small X dollar amount to manage early check-ins. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But I think it just depends on how deep you are in your particular department and your areas of expertise.
And then we wrote software so that we didn't have to pay anybody extra. It automatically scheduled that. Let me ask you this. So this came up 2 weeks ago in a conversation I was having with a property manager. What's the going rate for early check-ins? And let's talk to people about why early check-ins is a great revenue model, the amount of money you can make off of it.
It's going to vary. I've seen it as low as 50 and I've seen it as high as $175. The size of the house. Now, normally, of course, your 6 or 7 plus bedrooms are virtually impossible to have a 1 p.m. check-in. But I mean, yeah, I mean, you just do the math. If you're able to sell 25 or 50 early check-ins a weekend, substantial amount of money is there.
Yeah, we were talking 150 a pop, and I was like, that's a lot of money. When we implemented software for that, we would set budgets and I would show you this is going to pay for itself because this is based on how many you could do.
Absolutely. The rule of thumb is if we miss an early check-in by 1 minute, if it's 1 o'clock or whatever your early check-in, if we miss it by 1 minute and the guest asks the question, full refund, no questions asked. The other thing that we do is I like to consider the luck of the draw. If someone did not opt for an early check-in, if the house is ready at 3 or 3:30, I'm going to give it to them because the logic is get them in the property while we still have hours in the day to correct anything that needs to be correcting. So we do that. I like to sell the early check-ins in advance because somebody's coming in with their grandmother, somebody's coming in with an infant, and they want it for a reason. They're trying to be ahead of the traffic, get in the property for that reason. And I think it's a great customer service, a guest service experience. And again, to your point, a very strong revenue stream.
Don't give it away, guys.
My very last one is I like to promote shout outs. I've been doing this for years and years. And sometimes the one person that criticizes me about this is my beautiful wife of 40 years. But I have been doing the $2 bill forever and ever. And Lynell, I am not joking. The bank, they have some $2 bills in there. I can go in and I'll say, I need 100 $2 bills. And they said, I've got them. And I've been doing this for many years as a shout out. I have put them in houses for cleaners. I put them on top of a ceiling fan, under a lamp, under the pillow. If I'm in the field, I'll give it out to them there, but they know what it is. It creates a little bit of pride for the recipients because some of my employees, they've got them on their wall. They've got them to a mirror in their office, and it says a lot. And what I like to do is having multiple locations. Here at Bluewater, I have a gold envelope. And if I see an email or if I want to do something, I will literally seal it in an envelope and I'll put the reason in there and say, here's your $2 bill. Thank you for being a team player. I really think we have to recognize our team members. You praise them. You reward them. I mean, and I know it's a small way, but they want that recognition. They desire to be part of something bigger than just a paycheck and bigger than just 600 check-ins this coming weekend.
It's really important, no matter what kind of business you're in, that you recognize your employees. They are the key to your success. We're not doing it as leaders. Their boots are out there. I love that you said that. Rarely have people talk about that on the podcast, but I cannot stress enough about how important that is. One of the things, and I'll tell you a little story about that. One of the things that I learned in business is that not everyone is driven by revenue. Not everyone is driven by their paycheck. I did some of the personality testings that we did so we can understand our employees better. Love those. And the one thing that I was really surprised at is my lead support person didn't care about money. She wanted me to tell her she was doing a good job. Taking her to lunch meant everything to her. That was her love language there. So I think that knowing our employees and taking care of them is really important, just like you say.
Absolutely. And I hate to say that I'm starting to get dated with my age, but I like to get in there different locations. And I've had cleaners give me hugs. I've had cleaners say, oh, Mr. Stewart, I haven't seen you for 2 weeks. Are you okay? Where have you been? And I like to get out there and touch them. I like to see them. And we have to listen attentively to our team members because, to your point, they're part of our team. They're part of our organization. And also, we have to have open door. I mean, if somebody comes by, my door's open. I mean, I'm not going to get between a managerial issue with their supervisor, but it's open door. I will gladly talk. They have seen me run after hours. They've seen me deliver linens, numerous things. They know that they can count on me because that's what it takes. We are in the hospitality business.
How often do you meet with your team about your budget?
Well, it's not really fair because I'm new here and we're just still rolling things out. I mean, the ones that are drivers, we're discussing it every few weeks at least as far as performance, revenue, looking at the early check-ins. The salary, I try to keep them apprised of where we are so that they will manage productivity, staffing, and obviously watch the overtime.
So looking at a P&L for a property management company, what are some of the first things that you look at and you say, oh no, or oh yes?
Well, old school, you first look at revenue. You want to see what the revenue is, and you want to see the breakdown of that revenue. I love to look at the net worth per property. And some softwares are a little bit more cooperative than others because when you look at the net worth, it's not just commission, it's not just your admin fee, it's the upselling of trip insurance, early check-ins, and some companies are making a margin off of cleaning. So I always love to look at the net worth of a property. And surprisingly, you think your biggest homes that have the lower commission are your drivers, and they are maybe in volume, but you look at the margin off of some of these 4 and 5 bedrooms, and they're very profitable. In our industry, you want to look at the salaries because we've heard it numerous times. On an average, we can easily spend 25% of our total expenses purely on salaries, depending on if you have in-house cleaners or contract cleaners. But I mean, we spend a lot of money on people because we're so labor intensive in what we do. But there's just always numerous things. I just love to look at them year over year. And I love to look at it if they have it actual versus budget. It's like, what did you budget? But a lot of them are like, we have a budget. It's in a spreadsheet. It's like, no, I want to see it in your financial statement for sure. But I mean, those are the things I would glance at.
Tell me this. What about late checkouts? Why haven't you mentioned that? They're just as profitable.
They are, but you can't have a late checkout and an early check-in. So we normally view trying to maximize the early check-ins. We have sold late checkouts, but there's a greater emphasis on managing the arrival process. And it's a little harder for the reservationists to watch late checkout or early check-in. A lot of times we will, if we have to something, it's always easy to comp them a late checkout if there's been a small house issue.
That's nice. That's really nice.
How We Grow has partnered with Lynell Gordon to bring the vacation rentals market custom protection products built for the needs of the vacation rental industry. Enjoy complete protection for both your travelers and your owners via the industry's leading travel, damage, and liability protection products. Learn more about the travel tech industry's most advanced travel and damage protection platform and API at rentalguardian.com.
So, what advice would you give property managers who are looking to grow their business?
Every market is so different. I mean, some of these markets are so competitive, it's not even funny. Having spent most of my life on the Outer Banks, we always said it was a mature market. People are fighting for a house. They're not going to pick up a subdivision or this complex. I think what it comes down to is first off, is absolutely your performance, your turnkey performance. I think you want your owners to be referring owners for you as a company, and that includes your communication. Make sure you have a maintenance plan or something where you do not nickel and dime them. Make sure that you're looking at those statements, their monthly statements before they go out so that there's no shockers. But I think if we do a good job first with our homeowners, and then if we're doing a good job with our marketing, our upselling, our reservation sales team, you can put together a winning combination. And I think that we would all say your growth must be measurable. I mean, I would love to pick up 50 homes for next year, but even a company air size and with a team that I would brag about, and I know they could do it. I'm not sure what's that sweet spot for measured growth so that you can take care of your owner, take care of your guest experience, and do a good job. So that's what I see are those contacts. One of the things that I do, and this is just my personal choice for years and years to our homeowners, I give them my personal cell phone. I'm not fearful to do that. I've had a few owners call me on a Saturday and they've literally said, I just wanted to see if you'd answer your phone. I do not hide behind my voicemail. Even when there's an issue, I just hit it head on and just listen to them because you can diffuse so much from that conversation. So I promote myself to be there forever. I'll touch base with someone. Becca and I here now are working with a homeowner, like a $2.7 million property. He reached out to me directly. First thing I did is she and I went down and toured the property. When we went for an interview, she was right there with me. I passed the baton to her. It's not about me. It's about what my director of business development can do. I trust her. I'm right there with her. We're communicating through the process. And I will say one thing also, and you will notice on the camera, I'm wearing a necktie. I didn't put my necktie on for today for you. A couple of days a week, I will wear a tie to work because when somebody comes in, and there's been folks on the Outer Banks, and I could name them and you would know who they are. They would argue with me about that, including, bless his heart, Stuart Couch. He would come to the office looking like a hobo. It's like, what are you doing, man? But somebody comes in, like when we went to see this prospective homeowner, I mean, he said, well, Stuart, you're overdressed. But here we are looking at a $2.7 million piece of property. And I want to be a professional. I mean, I might be at the beach, but first impressions and your professionalism matters. I mean, we are managing millions and millions of value of our inventory, and I want the homeowners to know that we take it seriously. So I do believe in taking care of your owners, being there, being professional, because that's what they want.
Well, let me ask you, and I actually love that about dressing. I always believed that you should dress in the manner that you want people to perceive you as. You want them
Right.
to take you seriously, you do. Now, there are lots of people that have built businesses in their flip-flops at the beach. I know that. And that's great for them. I could name a bunch, and I love them all. And they built very successful businesses. But it depends on your personality and where you sit in that perception yourself. Tell me a story. I want to have your favorite homeowner story or guest story.
I think way back in the day, it's always an issue with our homeowners. They always complain, Stuart, you just never clean all the way. And I remember way back at Hatteras Realty, there was one particular owner, she complained every time. So when she was checking out, she was going to do her own owner clean. And I intentionally inspected her house. And with a small smile on my face, I called her on her way home and I said, "I'm sorry, but we have a callback on your house." And what is wrong? And I was very clear. The shower liner needed to be cleaned or replaced. She had missed an item here or there. So it was nothing devastating. I mean, it was a little bit of good humor, but I wanted her to know that we take this very seriously. And again, she wants to beat us up about it, but there again, I went in and I saw some deficiencies that had to be reported.
Did she stay with you, Stuart? Of course she did.
I think she loved me because I was honest with her. I was very transparent. I will say also, there are times there will be a homeowner that will love me and hate the property manager, or will love the property manager and dislike me. We cannot please everyone. And again, that's why we work as a team. One of the experiences that I had with not a guest issue, but with actually a seasonal temporary summer employee. In the summer, often your cleaners are tired, the houses need more attention. And there was a particular summer that I picked up a J1 student, an international student. I picked up a couple of Chinese girls on Saturdays, and we were actually shuttling them around to help the cleaners in some of our bigger homes. This particular house, I dropped this young Chinese college student off to help. The guests were just checking out. So we spoke to the guest. I walked through the house with her and with the cleaning crew. This poor student had a little small backpack. She set it down. She was going to work. She was doing her job. The guest picked it up by mistake and started heading north. And of course, with your international students, all of a sudden we have this crisis because it just wasn't her bag. It had her passport in there. So we got in touch with the guest. We called them. They stopped at the Virginia border and they were going to leave it at the visitor center. It's like, great, thank you. So Stuart headed north on a busy day, and I drove up and I secured her backpack. I mean, I didn't open it. I knew everything was there. I had to come back and fight all the traffic. I think I got home that night at 7 p.m. But it's called doing the right thing for your teammates to make it happen. One other story over the last year that I dealt with one other company, on call. We had an on-call issue where it's a 4-bedroom house. They said the septic's overflowing. We need help immediately. So we did not have a maintenance tech available. So I called the housekeeping manager and I said, "Hey, this is the issue that we have." I said, "Do you have cleaning rags? Do you have bleach?"
Was it coming into the house?
They said it was overflowing into the shower. So they said one bathroom was dirty. So I called her up and I said, "Tell you what, you pick up the supplies. I will meet you a block from the house. I do not want you to enter the house until I get there. I'm going with you." Because you didn't know what you're going to get into, Lynell. You didn't know how bad it was. And long story short, we get in there. It wasn't that terrible. I mean, a lot of times the guests exaggerate. We get there, we get it all clean, and we're walking out the door, and she looks at me and she says, "Never in my life has my manager showed up and literally help me clean." And it touches your heart because you have to show your people how much you care, how important they are, and what you're willing to do.
You never ask anyone to do anything that you wouldn't be willing to do yourself. That's pretty remarkable. And I'm sure, talk about creating loyalty with your employees. That's huge, Stuart.
That's what we have to do because at the end of the day, As I had shared with you, when I first came down to Bluewater and I was introduced to the team, we were sitting in the conference room and I didn't really know the words to say. And I just shared with them, I said, there's no blueprint on how to run these businesses. They're very unique. They're very specialized. They're market sensitive. And I said, I'm not an expert. I'm a generalist. I love the operation side. And I said, we're going to do this together. There are no easy answers. There's no one way to do it. We're going to conquer and divide. And that's what we've really done. I mean, I'm so pleased where I am. I'm very pleased with Woody's support. But most importantly, I have some incredible team players that I would literally fight for. They are phenomenal. And that makes the world a difference.
It does. And I'm so grateful that you were willing to come on and share with me. Listen, if people have questions and they're looking for someone who's been in it for a while, who might be able to bounce things off, would you be willing to talk to them?
I think one-on-one is important. If they will send me a message on LinkedIn, I will gladly speak to anyone. I love this camaraderie with companies. Let's have a cup of coffee. I love the camaraderie. And literally last weekend, I did on my way back home because I'm still commuting at this point from my residence on the Outer Banks. And we have some premier luxury towels that will not work in our program. And I reached out to two companies on the Outer Banks, two owners, and you know exactly if I told you their names or their initials. And I reached out to them and I said, hey guys, I've got about 180 dozen luxury towels. Would you be interested? One guy said, well, sure, how much? And I said, well, let me tell you what, I'll drop them off to you this weekend in one of our gift bags. I'll bring you 4 towels, look at them, take a glance at them, tell me if they can help you. I love to have those relationships and that camaraderie. I mean, I remember going through a linen crisis where 2 Outer Banks companies actually took a load or allowed us to use their laundry facilities to process. I mean, that is what you call teamwork. And that's exactly what we need to do. We need to support one another. I mean, we can compete against each other, but we have to be good neighbors and we have to be cooperative.
And let me tell you, your market is incredibly competitive where you are, just as much as the Outer Banks. But the competitors, I like the competitors. I think that they're good people. I think you're among good people there. So
I'm very excited for that. I guess if I shared anything to folks listening, especially new folks in the industry, I think this is not for the lighthearted. This is a difficult career. I mean, I'll be honest. My 4 kids have grown up in the industry. My daughter is working in social media in marketing for a vacation rental firm. The boys didn't want to have anything to do with it. So I would say that this is not for the lighthearted. This is a challenging job, but it is very rewarding and it does create a lot of opportunities. If you wish to grow, there are opportunities inside of this industry that you can grow in.
well, I love that. So thank you so much for being with us, Stuart. Is there any other advice you wanted to give before I go?
I can't think of anything else other than I come to work early because I love what I do, and you have to have a passion for it. You have to be hospitality focused. But again, I take great joy when I look at 98 to 99% of our arrivals have a great experience. As a management team, we look at the 1%. And again, you ask the question, what went wrong? How can we prevent or improve in the future? And again, I would gladly interact with anyone that wants to reach out to me. I will not probably be at Verma this year, but I do want to get back. But I'll gladly share because I have a passion for this industry and I'll gladly give a tip. I'm not an expert in anything, but I'm a generalist and I love what I do.
Well, I'm going to give you a heads up. I'm going to do an interview, hopefully in the next few weeks, with a guy who's a property manager. The number one thing that you said when you first started talking about the things that are important was replying to guest reviews. He uses AI to reply to his reviews. And when I went to interview his partner, complimented him on how quickly they replied in their reviews. I've never seen anybody reply to every single one individually with, they were great replies. When I found out they were AI, I was shocked. And it's not a software company that's doing this that you're selling. This is something you do in-house, Stuart. I'm just really excited about that. So I'll let you know when that comes out.
That'd be very exciting. Again, AI is going to change our industry. And I mean, we need every tool to use. I mean, way back in the day, LSI brought us tools that we did not have. And we always have to be on the cutting edge to monitor and do what we do. But again, a great shout out for you. I did want to tell you, I know that you're a big fan of Scott Leggett. Scott Leggett is probably the only name that I'm going to mention on your podcast. I mean, we could name a lot of people, but actually, Scott and I have been great buddies. He's traveling so much now, it's harder to connect with him like with you. You guys are too busy. But when Scott was considering coming over to LSI, and we actually had coffee and we chatted, and I actually encouraged him to do that. So you will be receiving an invoice from me for my recruitment efforts, because I know that he did a great job for you.
I was so grateful. Can I just tell you that my life would have been totally different had Scott Leggett not come to be my CEO? I mean, my life would be genuinely for the worse. He is God's gift to the industry, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, he's a great mentor. I love to chat him. I mean, and I keep telling him, it's like, just call me, man, when you're on the road. I don't have to meet you for breakfast or lunch or for coffee. Just call me. I just want to hear from you and how you're doing.
Such a lovely person.
He's such a smart man as well. He's been in the industry for years and years. But this has been such a pleasure to catch up with you. I hope that I've shared one or two things that will benefit your listeners. Great industry, what we do.
No, it is a great industry. And I really appreciate you sharing and being willing to do that. And tell what he thinks.
I will. My pleasure. I hope you have a good day.
This episode of How We Grow is brought to you by Rental Guardian. To find out more about how Rental Guardian can help grow your vacation rental business, visit rentalguardian.com. Make sure to search for How We Grow in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts, or anywhere else podcasts are found, and hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. On behalf of the team here at Inhabit, thanks for listening.